The Sixers are prepared to give Jimmy Butler a max extension if he gets traded by the Miami Heat.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 76er. Thanks for making Locked On 70. I can't get it out, bro. I can't get it out. Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Look, y'all, I'm so sorry. I'm so excited about this show that I couldn't even get started right. My name is Keith Pompey. This right here is my right-hand man, John Mitchell, and we are the co-host of Locked On 76ers. We got a lot to talk about today. As John, I keep saying, everybody, we got a lot to talk about. And John, what I want to talk about is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler. Sources told me that Jimmy Butler will receive a max extension by the Sixers if he can get if he could get traded to them from the Miami Heat. Now, we all know that Paul George is their first option, guy that they're going after. But if they could go after and they could get Jimmy Butler, they're prepared to give him a max extension. So we'll talk about that. The second segment, we'll talk about Brandon Ingram. Now, Brandon Ingram is another guy that people are talking about. Let's see is he really worth all the hype, and is he really that good of a fit for the 76ers? And then in the third segment, we're going to talk about Buddy Hield, right? But let's start it off with Butler. Now, just to give you guys some background, the Sixers are going after Paul George, and they have a list of guys that they're also interested in, right? LeBron James, OG Obanobi, in regards to guys who they can get via trade. The list includes Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram from the New Orleans Pelicans, and then also, Zach LaVine's name is out there as well. But the thing is talking to my sources, is that the 76ers ownership group, and particularly, they kind of regret what they did 5 years ago. And they look at Jimmy and they see the success that he's had, right? Right? And they realize, let's face it, right now, he could be, in their eyes, the missing piece. And they're willing to give him the money he wants. I mean, let's face it, this team wants to win the championship. And when you look at it, a lot of people may say, but why are you going to give him that type of money? Well, the thing is, they want to win now.
Yeah.
And they just want to give a guy whatever he wants just to make a deal happen, right?
Yeah.
So that's where they're coming from. Now, the thing is, when you look at Jimmy and you look at, he's going to be 35 before the season starts.
Yeah.
Look at the injury history. You look at a lot of other things. Is a reason why some people may say that Miami is like unsure if they want to give him this extension right now. They want to wait until next year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like the Sixers, they got to put everything out there. I mean, they have to do whatever they can to ensure that they'll get it. Because let's face it, if everything is equal, Jimmy Butler is not coming to Philadelphia. He's going to stay in South Beach.
If he can get that extension.
Huh?
If he can get that extension.
Yeah. I mean, why would you leave there? I mean, honestly, like, why would you leave there? Now, I feel like, I feel like, we all say winning the championship, but winning the championship is never guaranteed, right? It's never guaranteed. We talk about if everything is equal, we're talking about no state income tax. we're talking about South Beach compared to Broad Street. Like we both love Philly, right? But if you give me an opportunity,
you mean those cheesesteaks aren't enough of a draw?
nah, man, I'm not trying to. No offense, but I'm not trying to do that battle. I'm not trying to go to Geno's and then go to Jim's across the street and try to see which one's the best ones. Now, I may go to go walk to one nightclub in South Beach and then try to go down the street to the other one to see if I can get in, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
with your cash, Keith, I know when y'all go to South, when the Sixers go to South Beach, you be right out there at Ocean Prime and all those places. Yeah, I know you. I know you how you roll.
Yeah, but guess what? When I go out there, they say, "Sir, here's the keys to the car." I'm like, "You gonna give me this car?" No, don't you work here? Don't you park it? So what's your thoughts on the whole Jimmy Butler thing?
Well, it's good to know that they're looking to have as many dance partners as possible. I mean, the one caveat is what is Miami going to do?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Pat Riley's enjoyed what he's gotten out of Jimmy Butler. They've gone to 2 championship series, one time coming out of the play-in series. They've gone to 2 championship series in the last 5 years. And since they acquired him, they're the 5th winningest team in the league, as you pointed out in your piece today. Well, actually yesterday. And Pat Riley, we know that he is sovereign in that organization, but he's also smart. And he's watching Jimmy Butler, and he's watching Jimmy Butler with these aches and pains and not being able to play more than 64 games in a season since they acquired him. So, he's probably saying he's going to consider it. He's going to look at the 76ers assets and, and other things out there and say, hey, can we continue to build? After we move a player like Jimmy. Now, you move a player like Jimmy, you're going to fall off. I mean, even though he hasn't had a great deal of availability, you're going to fall off. It's just inevitable. And I think they don't go into complete rebuilding mode because they do have a roster down there when their guys are healthy. But also, how bad, like you said, how badly does Jimmy Butler want? He's had a taste of the 76ers. He knows the history, with the Sixers washing out on, their front office, washing out on number 1 picks, Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. And he knows that they gave away a guy like Mikal Bridges, all defensive NBA player, for basically, a bag of peanuts. And he also knows the burning gate. So he knows the culture of the 76ers, but the one thing he does want more than anything is to get that extension. Let's be quite honest. As much as it's great to play in Miami and under those palm trees, and everything else that comes with it, and Jimmy Butler still wants to win. So, but again, Miami holds the keys to that deal. Does Miami want to make that move? Do they want to be a dance partner with the 76ers? I do like the fact that, they've got the money, and I do like the fact that they're pursuing other options because, it does look like it looks like the Clippers have drawn a line in the sand with Paul George. That guy's going to be there for them, for the Sixers. So that they had their options, and their options are good players. So we'll see. But that's where they are.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, I when I look at it, I think of a couple of things. Like you said, and this brings up the thought: could a 3-team trade happen?
Right.
Like, let's be honest. Let's say if there's some way that Cleveland can get some compensation, and then if you're Pat Riley and you say, okay, we're going to send Donovan Mitchell down here, who you look at maybe a younger type of a Jimmy Butler. An aggressive guy, a wing who can go out there and score.
Better
score. I don't know what the heck the Sixers going to have to give Cleveland to help them out, to make them think is a better deal than they can get from another team. But when you look at that, that's something that people brought up, that maybe they can do a three-team trade. And when you look at it, yes, Jimmy is a great player, but Pat Riley and them are getting younger with
Right.
with Donovan. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to talk about with that one or think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can touch on that a little bit more after we talk about, and we'll also talk about the potential of, possibly trading for a guy like Brandon Ingram, a young player, young talented player. But right now, I want to talk to you about game time. I'm kind of excited about the NBA Finals, man, and I'm excited about the Phillies, even though they're going through their little 3-game losing streak, first time they've experienced that this season. But if you want to get tickets, prices on the Game Time app actually go down as it gets closer to tip off. So the closer you get to the game you want to see, and if you want to get in that building and see a game, the Game Time app is your thing. And you can pick out any specific games or matchup you'd like to attend. And there's just a lot of good last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, and it's easy to find and buy Major League Baseball tickets for every kind of event in your area. You can work. There's an opportunity to get last minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single solitary day.
Do it today, bruh. Do it today. So here's the thing, man. When we talk about Brandon Ingram, I mean, I go back and forth with him. And the reason why I go back and forth with him is because I look at him and I see the talent, but I keep thinking back to that NBA play-in tournament game against the Lakers when New Orleans played, and I know Zion Williamson was killing it, but I kept looking over and they kept panning over to the bench. And Ingram was on the bench. Like they just basically said, "We're done with you tonight."
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like when Zion goes out, you expect them to say, "Okay, we need you. It's a clutch time," and they didn't go with him. And you can look at it and say that what was Willie Green doing? But then you also say, like, what the heck is going on over there? And why are they such in a hurry to trade this dude if he's such a great player? And then I go back to USA basketball last summer, and the team was struggling a little bit, but he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And you're saying to yourself, like, what is it with him that the Pelicans are willing to get rid of a quote unquote close to max level kind of sort of player, a former all-star, a guy who should be a great fit down there. And then USA basketball was like, nah, bro, we tired of playing.
Yeah.
I mean, so my thing is, are they trying to give the Sixers something that they don't want? You know what I mean? And get over, like, what's the deal? Like, that's the scary part to me when it comes down to him.
Yeah, when I see Brandon Ingram, I see a player who looks. I don't see an alpha, but but I do see a player who fits as the third option. You know, I think he's in a situation. I mean, he's played well, and I mean, you know, offensively, he's given New Orleans 23.8, 22.7, 25 at one point in the 2022-23 season, even though he only appeared in 45 games. And last year he was 20.8. He shoots the three ball decently. I think, you know what I think his problem is, man? I think, and this is kind of my knock on Zion Williamson. It's like, you know, you love Zion's talent, but, you know, he's either hurt all the time. You have to, because he's the most talented player on your roster, you have to cater to him. That's just the way the NBA is. And when he's there and really playing at a prime level, which is rare, you've got a great player. And I think I think that Brandon has some difficulty playing alongside him. I think if he's here and the Sixers will have assets, come draft day. If he's here and you can possibly move a guy who fits in seamlessly as your third guy. Now, remember, that sounds a little bit like Tobias, but Tobias was seen as the number 2 guy. You bring Brandon here, he's clearly the number 3 guy. He's a guy who can shoot it. He's not the best defender. He's kind of frail. He's a decent rebounder. But because he's having problems in New Orleans, I mean, New Orleans is just a problem. It's one of those franchises where you keep looking at the roster and you say, well, one day, they're going to really emerge and they're going to come together. And it just never happens, man. And some of that is the culture of the New Orleans Pelicans. So I think that's where he is. But I do like him. If it ever became a situation, the guy that I like more than him, I like Mikal Bridges more than I like him.
Yeah, same here. I mean, same here. Now, my thing is, so here's the deal. So this is the final year of his deal.
Mm-hmm.
He's going in the final year. He becomes an unrestricted free agent next season. He's making 36. He's going to make $36 million next year with a trade kicker of 15%. So it's going to be around 41 mil.
Yeah.
Right? Does that scare you? I mean, you can give him the extension, but does that scare you if the trade for a guy like that?
Well, it's cautious. You have to be cautious with it. The Sixers got to do their due diligence. They're in this win now mode, and they have to evaluate him. What is he? 27 years old. I don't think he's at his ceiling. I don't think he's got far to go from his ceiling, but that's a lot of money for a third option. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but they gave it to Tobias. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I mean? As a third option. He's 26. He'll be 27 on September the 2nd. So he'll be 27 at the start of the season. But he's the same age as like Jason Tatum and guys like that, So yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Now, again, here's the deal. You got some guys, he's 26, about to be 27 in the prime of his career, but you have some questions with him. But then you have some older guys that they're talking about who are, who have injury history. Yeah. So everything isn't going to be perfect, but it's just something to ponder. You know what I mean? It's like, how is that just going to fit in? How's stuff going to work out? That's the only concerns that I have. But he's a great player, but it's just one of those things with what really went wrong for him, and how is that going to impact the Sixers? I mean, he's a guy who doesn't like. I don't know. He doesn't like his role? Does he pout? Does he do anything? Like last season, he averaged. This past season, he had 20.8 points. 5.1 rebounds, 5.7 assists. He shot 35.5% from 3. So he had a pretty good year. It's 5. Go ahead.
I mean, if you're building out the roster again, making a move for him because of that trade kicker is a dollars and cents move. and it comes down to what is his bang for the buck. Again, I think he's a guy who's not at his ceiling, Keith. He's improved steadily since Jordan, since he came into the league, and I think he's a better player, than Tobias. Now, does that warrant the money that he's will be eligible for? You got the NBA. Let's be honest, man. You have to pay to play, and because the 76ers have tied themselves, and we're going to say this, and we talked about it earlier. Potentially trading Joel Embiid. As good as Joel is, the other end of it is availability. And they have said this is our cornerstone who's missed 336 games, and as we said before, that's 4 seasons, with 8 games left over.
All right, now I got something to you. Now I'm gonna ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
So he played in 64 games last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over his 8-year career,
mm-hmm.
he's averaged 59.6 games a season. The most games he played in was his rookie year with the Lakers when he played in 79.
Yeah.
At that point, the most games he's played in was last season, the 64. Does that change things for you?
It's cautionary because, you look at some of the years he's had: 45 games, 55 games, 52 games, 59 games. And, it's like, dude, we need you to be available. And that is like the trend. Everybody we're talking about now, that's a consideration. The old guys, the younger guys. Who's the one guy that's not a consideration for? Mikal Bridges. He's Iron Man. For a young guy, that's a bit of. His injuries haven't been severe, but they've been a little too prevalent.
A little bit.
And he comes to the 76ers. We know what that culture is. You're not feeling okay. Take a blue tonight.
Yeah, that concerns me. But look, y'all, we talked in depth for a while on this one. Sorry we went over, but I just had to bring up the point with those, averaging 59 games a season.
That's very cogent points.
Yeah. So, but when we get right back, we'll talk about Buddy Hield. We'll be right back. So, Mitch, when we talk about Buddy, the thing is, do you think there's going to be a market for him? The thing is, Buddy wants to get paid. Buddy Hield, what is he's making about. He turned down a contract with the Indiana Pacers, and now it's like I think was making like 18 million last year, 20 something. Let me double check. But now you look at it and you say to yourself, what is Buddy in the market to make? You know what I mean? So do you see him getting a payday? I don't know, man, just because of how bad I ain't gonna say how bad he looked, but things just
he looked pretty bad.
He
looked pretty bad.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad. Like he did. Things just didn't go the way that he expected it to. Yeah, he's coming off of a 4-year, $94 million contract, whereas this past season he made $19.8 million. Now, I don't like this contract. His first year was the most he's made. He made 24.9. The next year he made 23.07. Then he made 21.1, and then he made 19.8. So I guess they figure we're going to give you the most money up front, right?
Yeah.
But, I don't really, you know what I mean? I mean, it is what it is, but I'm one of them brothers do it the other way, man. I want to get more money towards the end. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it is what it is. It is.
Yeah. No, I think, I still believe in Buddy Hield as a shooter. Wow. I do. As bad as he looked toward the end of this, I mean, at one point he was unplayable. And then when they did play him, he gave in that game 6 against the Knicks, he gave him 16 points in the second quarter of that game. But he's a shooter. When he didn't get a chance to really insert himself alongside Joel Embiid because of Embiid's unavailability. We all saw him as this guy can spread the court out on the perimeter. I still believe that he can do that. But again, the question becomes, what is the investment? Is he worth, again, you're coming on contract with, what was he, close to $100 million? He's coming from with a 4-year deal, close to $100 million in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Maybe too.
Yeah, he's seen his last. That's his max.
Yeah, because his cap hold is his cap hit is $28.9 million. Dang near $30 million. I don't think he'll get that.
Yeah, nah, he's not going to see that money. Yeah, we'll see. I think, he maxed out a few years ago when he averaged, he had those back-to-back seasons in Sacramento where he averaged 20.7 and was shooting, in 19.2 and was shooting 42.7% from the 3-point line, 40%. You know what he is. He's not the greatest defender. And I don't think there's going to be a market for him. But is he at that point in his career now where he's a sixth man?
Maybe. I mean, because I felt like he was. Yeah, I do. I mean, I felt like he was that way this season. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because he lost his spot in Indiana.
Yeah.
Then he came here.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because the Sixers traded for him, hoping for it to be an upgrade, and the Pacers ended up going further than the Sixers.
Yes, they did.
You know what I mean? That's like crazy. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, part of me is like the Sixers knew that they weren't going to be as good as Joel Embiid when I got injured, and they wanted to take. They kept saying how competitive they wanted to be.
Right.
But at the same time, they wanted to take a look at people and try to work on things. So, to me, it was a little different. But I want to say this, y'all. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7. Covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On Plus or national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channel app. So we want to thank y'all for listening. We hope that y'all have a blessed day. From my man Mitch, and for me, I like to say peace and have a great day, y'all.
Enjoy this weather, y'all. Be safe.